I grew up on a small farm ranch down in southern Idaho, and when we moved back to the Palouse, we were looking for some property to be able to have some horses and cows, be able to raise our kids and our family here on the Palouse. I recognized that we had some issues here on our place that were of some concern. We had a lot of groundwater issues. We have a seasonal creek that runs through the place, and we were grazing our cattle along that creek and creating a lot of mud, a lot of organic material getting into the creek as the runoff water from the fields above us would run through our farmyard, and it was getting down into Dry Creek. And so recognized an opportunity to maybe work with the Conservation District to see if we couldn't maybe mitigate some of those issues that we were having. It was kind of an amazing process, and worked with a number of different people at the Conservation District. They came out, we walked through the place, we talked about my goals, some of their goals, and talked about different programs that they had available to help me meet those goals. I will say they were extremely easy to work with, very friendly, very inviting. Nothing was ever pushed that it was my choice on all of the steps along the way, which I think is really important for people to know. We came up with a couple of phases of different projects. We also put in some feeding pads to try to give the animals a place to be able to eat where they're not churning up the soil. So brought in a large amount of gravel, giving me better access so I can drive into the feeders, put it in there without creating big ruts and damaging the property. Made it a lot easier, made it a lot cleaner. My wife's happier, there's not mud everywhere. And so there's been a lot of win-win out of this process. There's been a lot of follow-up as well. We've had a lot of visits from the district since the projects have been completed, have come out. They've provided a lot of resources for me to be able to make sure that the project was successful.
We work with local producers and landowners, and we just help them with technical and financial assistance to achieve conservation goals on their property. He had some issues with flooding, particularly coming from the crop fields above his property. And what was happening is all the runoff was going across his corral, and all the manure that was in the corral was emptying into the creek. So to address those problems, we first put a buffer along the creek, so 35 feet on either side, to filter the runoff before it gets to the creek. And then we also put a French drain, which starts at the top of the hill, flows under the corral, and then spits out into the buffer. And the goal of that is to keep all that runoff to go into that French drain and to go under and not pick up that manure on its way. That addresses the runoff. Also to address the cattle in the creek and fecal coliform problems they might have there. We also, excluded the cattle from the creek, which was something he was interested in doing. And not only does that improve water quality over time, but also by planting trees and shrubs, we create wildlife habitat and a nice corridor for the wildlife.
Yeah, I mean, all of this process has to start somewhere, and this was a nice sort of beginning project as we learn more over time that you can have good farming practices and have good stream health. I'd just like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the Conservation District for working with me on this project. It's been a very good relationship. It continues to be as we kind of look at the place and see the changes going forward.